Well, I think we're going to make real progress, and I think, Jonathan, we're going to do what the American people want us to do. And the American people are very clear. They want to substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs. They want to expand home health care so that people are not forced out of their homes into nursing homes. They want to expand Medicare so that elderly people can have dental care, can have hearing aids, can have eyeglasses. They want us to address the existential threat of climate change. And I'll tell you what else they want. They are sick and tired of the rich getting richer and not paying their fair share of taxes. And they want this reconciliation bill to be paid for by doing away with the loopholes that the wealthy and large corporations enjoy. So we have the American people very, very strongly on our side. We've got the President of the United States on our side. We've got 96% of the members of the Democratic caucus in the House on our side. We got all but 2 senators at this point and the Democratic caucus on our side. We're going to win this thing. We're going to pass a strong infrastructure bill to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, and we're going to pass a reconciliation bill.
All right, I want to get to one of those 2 senators that is not with you right now. Senator Sinema, as we heard Rachel Scott refer to, put out a lengthy statement overnight about the failure of the House to vote on that infrastructure bill. She said, in part, the failure of the U.S. House to hold a vote on Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act is inexcusable and deeply disappointing for communities across our country. Denying Americans millions of good-paying jobs, safer roads, cleaner water, more reliable electricity, and better broadband only hurts everyday families. She accuses you, Senator, and other progressives of pulling off what she calls an ineffective stunt and holding that infrastructure bill hostage to the larger social infrastructure bill. Your response?
Well, I think Senator Sinema is wrong. I think from day one, Jonathan, it has been clear. President of the United States has said it. Speaker of the House Pelosi has made it clear. Our Majority Leader in the Senate, Schumer, has made it clear. Both of these bills are going forward in tandem. Going forward in tandem. We've got to pass them both. I voted for the infrastructure bill. It is an important bill. I'm a former mayor. I know how much we have got to address our crumbling infrastructure and create jobs there. But I also know that elderly people in this country cannot chew their food because they don't have teeth in their mouth. I know that the American people are sick and tired of paying 10 times more for prescription drugs than the people of Canada and in other countries. I know that there are young people out there who would love the opportunity to get a higher education but can't afford community college. We're going to make 2 years of community college tuition free. And I also know that the scientists are telling us that if we do not act boldly in terms of cutting carbon emissions, that the planet we're leaving our kids and grandchildren will be increasingly uninhabitable. And let me also say this, Jonathan. We're not just taking on or dealing with Senators Manchin or Senator Sinema. We're taking on the entire ruling class of this country. Right now, the drug companies, the health insurance companies, the fossil fuel industry are spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to prevent us from doing what the American people want. And this really is a test of whether or not American democracy can work. The Republican Party is bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical industry. They're not going to do anything. But I hope very much, and I expect, that the Democratic caucus and the president, I know he will, stand firm and tell the drug companies, stop ripping us off. Well, tell the insurance companies that the American people need, elderly people need dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. People need home health care. Our young people need the quality child care that they deserve.
So let me ask you about where the president is on this. As I understand it, he has now floated a $2 trillion top-line number on this broader bill. You are at 3.5. I remember you initially wanted closer to $6 trillion. Are you comfortable with the idea of cutting this down to about $2 trillion?
No, well, first of all, I'm not sure that that's accurate. As you know, there's a lot of gossip that goes on. What the president has said is that there's going to have to be some give and take, and I think that that's right. I think, if anything, Jonathan, when we especially talk about the crisis of climate change, and the need to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. The $6 trillion that I originally proposed was probably too little. $3.5 trillion should be a minimum, but I accept that there's going to have to be give and take. But at the end of the day, the real
so give and take, but not $2 trillion. That's not enough. Because the president also said that a smaller investment could create historic achievements. But $2 trillion is not enough.
What the president is saying is that what we are trying to do is for the working families of this country, for the children, for the elderly, we're trying to pass the most consequential piece of legislation since the Great Depression, and he's right. So the bottom line is we have got to pass it. We've got to pass the infrastructure bill, and the American people are going to have to stand up. You know what bothers me about this whole thing? Poll after poll shows what we are doing is exactly what the American people want. It's not what the big money interest wants, not what the lobbyist wants. It's what the American people want, and we got to do it.
Now, Senator Manchin's the other senator in the middle of this. He's been consistent. We actually had him on this program back in July, and let me play you what he said about his top line number back then. But what's your bottom line? The question is, this is over $1 trillion.
The bottom line.
Bernie Sanders wants $6 more trillion. What are you? How far are you willing to go?
I want to make sure we pay for it. I do not want to add more debt on. So if that's $1 trillion or $1.5 or $2 trillion, whatever that comes out to be over a 10-year period, that's what I would be voting for.
So, I mean, basic math tells me if you have Sinema and you have Manchin both unwilling to go above that.
If you just listen, Jonathan, if you just listen to what Manchin said, he said he wants it to be paid for. He's right. I want it to be paid for. And in fact, that is exactly what we are going to do. And if it's $3.5 trillion, we can pay for it because, as everybody knows, you got some of the wealthiest people in this country who in a given year don't pay a penny in federal income tax. Large corporations don't pay a nickel in federal income tax. So if Manchin wants to pay for it, I'm there. Let's do it. And by the way, you could pay for it at $3.5 trillion. You could pay for it at $6 trillion. We have massive income and wealth inequality in this country.
But as you know,
we can do that.
I mean, as you know, what he's saying is the only taxes he's willing to go to would give you at most $2 trillion. We also heard.
But you see, then that's in.
I mean, that's where he is. And Terry McAuliffe, who of course is on the ballot running in Virginia, is saying that $3.5 trillion is simply too big. It's going to hurt Democrats, and he thinks it might even hurt him in his own race in Virginia.
Well, Terry McAuliffe, I wish Terry McAuliffe the best of luck. I hope he becomes the governor of Virginia again. But let him focus on Virginia issues. Some of us got to deal with the national issues. And what I am telling you, ask the American people whether or not we should have Medicare negotiating prescription drug prices. Ask them. Ask whether or not we should expand home health care, whether we should make community colleges tuition-free, whether or not we should deal with climate. And when we do all of those things, by the way, we create millions of good-paying jobs. What we are fighting for is precisely what the American people want, and that's what we've got to do.
Okay, we're just about out of time. Bottom line, if Manchin and Sinema don't come up, don't do what you are suggesting, what most of the Democrats or almost all of the other Democrats want, does that mean we get nothing? No infrastructure bill?
No.
Nothing?
No, at the end of the day, I am absolutely convinced we're going to have a strong infrastructure bill, and we're going to have a great consequential reconciliation bill which addresses the needs of the American people.
All right, Senator Sanders, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.